One of the greatest challenges that I see entrepreneurs have is setting goals based on what they currently think they're capable of. And I'm telling you right now that if you are setting goals based on fear or what you've been able to do in the past, you'll never have your dreams. We're gonna break through that today in this 3-part series on speeding up success. This is the Path to Mindset Mastery podcast. My name is Brad Bizjack. I'm a mindset expert, and I have 9 years of coaching experience through all types of businesses and industries. And I took my own business from $92,000 in debt to a multiple $1,000,000 business in just a couple of years. And I am obsessed with helping entrepreneurs just like you come alive with their limitless possibilities and scale whatever your message is to the world. And so I want to take a look at this 3-part series from a high-level perspective. When I take a look back on the tens of thousands of people that I've worked with over the years, what I've noticed are some trends, some things that help people to succeed and some things that cause people to feel overwhelmed for years. And don't you notice that? Like, some people seem to get it and they just kind of take off, and other people seem to be stuck for a very long time, overwhelmed and stressed and worried, and that happens so often, doesn't it? And I want you to ask yourself, no matter which category you're in, what if you could know the secrets of the people that had what you really wanted? And so I've studied all these people. I've studied people and seen what their challenges are, what's holding them back. And I noticed 3 really, really big themes. And I took a look at the people that had incredible success. Took a look at my own life, all of my success partners' lives, the clients that I've coached and worked with and brought them to success, and what it's done when they've rewired their mind. And when I take a look at that, what I've noticed is there's 3 main things, 3 challenges. We're gonna do a 3-part series over these 3 weeks to show you what those things are that have allowed them to succeed faster than ever before, skyrocket their business, generate millions of dollars a year, serving thousands of people all over the world, never having to worry about money again, and feeling fully alive and vibrant as they do it. Now, would that be valuable to you? Wonderful. So one of the things that I used to be challenged by was that I stopped setting goals. I remember I was that guy that I wanted success to happen so bad, and I was so attached to it. And I would find that I'd get into these feelings of, I had this big list of what I needed to get done, and I remember sitting down to do it, but being like, I don't want to do this right now, and getting exhausted and overwhelmed, and like, what if I fail, or what if it doesn't work, or how am I ever going to make this happen? And I get overwhelmed by it, and I do nothing. I'd shut my laptop down, I'd turn on Netflix, and I'd see my laptop staring at me, begging me to change my life, but I just didn't care in those moments, even though I cared so much. And it led to these feelings of depression, where I'd literally see it right there, but just being like self-loathing and exhausted. And I would turn on the TV and I'd binge eat nachos and down bottles of wine and all this stuff. And all of it was just to make me feel something. And I ended up getting pissed off at myself that I was in that state. And what I noticed throughout the years of doing that, because I was so driven, I was so hungry, I knew that I had something powerful to offer people, just like you have a beautiful message to offer the world. And I knew I had something to offer the world. But there was this piece of me that wouldn't let me do it. Have you ever had that dull, achy feeling of knowing you're meant for so much more than what you're getting out of life right now, but you just have this dull, achy feeling like it's never gonna happen or you'll always be held back in some way? That's where I was. And I just felt I had this drive, but it was like I was stuck and frozen. And every time I went after a goal, I didn't hit it. I'd come up short, or I'd be way far off. And even if I hit the smaller goals, I still didn't feel alive and vibrant and happy. And so I noticed that I started setting goals, or didn't start setting goals, I stopped setting goals. I stopped setting goals altogether because I'm like, well, what's the point in going after them? I'm not gonna hit them anyways. What's the point? And so I noticed that my energy dropped down even more. And it got smaller and smaller and smaller. And everything I did from that point on was all about being realistic, making sure that I could set things like, I want to go after these big dreams because I don't want to be bogged down. I don't want to miss it. I don't want other people to think less of me or see me going after this and judge me for putting myself out there in that way. And so I stopped setting goals altogether. And what I noticed in my life was I started to gain weight. I started to eat really unhealthy. I started to feel exhausted. My workouts started slipping. Started to notice I was spending money on dumb stuff. I started to notice that I was drinking more. I started to notice that this zest I had for possibility was gone. And it was almost like, you ever get in those spirals of negativity where you spiral down and down and down and you don't even realize you're in it until you've been in it and something snaps you out of it? And my hope is that maybe if you're in that spot, maybe this episode helps you snap out of it. That's where I was. I was in this spot of just consuming negativity. And I would rationalize why I was positive. And I used toxic positivity as my coping mechanism for insecurity, where I pretended everything was totally fine. I pretended I was great. I would tell Janice, my wife, girlfriend at the time, that I was great, even though I was dying inside. And I noticed that when it came to building my dreams, I had no energy to do it. I was just exhausted and tired and overwhelmed. And so the reason I'm telling you this is because the number one greatest challenge that I see entrepreneurs make or have is setting their dreams based on what they currently think is possible in their lives. And I want you to ask yourself if you're doing that right now. Are you setting your goals, your dreams, based on what you currently think is possible in your life? And if you're doing that, ask yourself, what are the consequences of that? When you set your goals based on what you currently think you're capable of, think about how that holds you back. Think about how there's no excitement there. There's no energy there. There's no possibility there. There's no creativity there. There's nothing that causes you to become more from that place. And so they say, what entrepreneurs do all the time is say, well, what's a realistic goal? And I hate realism. I think realism kills dreams. Now, I'm not saying don't be objective about the dollars and cents in your business account. I'm not saying don't be objective about data. I'm not saying don't use data to inform decisions. What I'm saying is, if you are setting goals based on what you currently think you're capable of, or not setting goals at all because you haven't hit those goals before, you are killing your dreams. One of the greatest keys to speeding up success is to set unrealistic, massive, insane dreams that you don't know how to hit. Because if you think about those massive, insane dreams that you don't know how to hit, it causes you to think in a different way than what got you to this place right now. If you try to solve a problem from the mindset that created the problem, all you create is more of the same challenge. Does that make sense? And so if we set a huge dream and a huge goal that's different from anything we've ever done, then all of a sudden we have to think differently. We're going, well, how could I do that? And what it does is it jolts you out of that fear. It jolts you out of that feeling of being overwhelmed, and it gets you into a place of energy. It gets you into a place of aliveness and vibrancy. And when you get into a place of aliveness and vibrancy and you're playing ball to win instead of playing ball not to lose, then all of a sudden, you get new ideas that you never had before. You get creative. All of a sudden, you get a resourcefulness within you to create an amazing dream that you didn't think was possible before. And all of a sudden, you go after it. And even if you miss that dream, which I missed most of my goals last year. Let me just share a stat with you. Our business did 3 times the revenue of the year before. And last year, our business did more revenue than the previous 3 years combined. And I missed almost every single goal that I set. Almost every single goal. But so my point is that when you set these huge dreams and you don't attach your worth to an outcome and you go after these huge dreams with everything you got, even if you miss the dreams, you're so much further along than you ever would have been in the past. Magic starts happening. You feel different on the inside. You feel more alive, more vibrant. You lift up people around you. You start helping other people transform and create their dreams. I share this metaphor all the time of success GPS. And I've shared on this podcast before about success GPS. And if you've heard it before, remember, repetition is the mother of skill. So if you hear something, just hearing it once isn't going to make it lock it in. So I want to share this with you again, and I want you to go into this with a new mindset. Every time that I take a look at a big dream or a big goal, I filter it through the lens of Google Maps. And if I think back to where this metaphor came from, and this will make sense in a second, I was on a road trip with my buddies about a year ago or so. And on that road trip, I remember talking to my buddy Jim, and we were in the front seat driving from Grand Canyon to Yosemite, and he said, Brad, you know that success is a lot like these road trips. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, if you're not excited about the destination, then you're not going to want to drive across the country to get there. And I had this moment, this download of information where I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. And I had all this stuff come to me, and I realized, oh my gosh, if I'm not excited about where I'm going, I'm not going to want to drive the 2,000 miles to get there. And I realized that's what I had been doing all of those years. I had been setting goals that I didn't actually care about. I realized I was that guy where goals just evaded me and evaded me and evaded me, and they kept on it would be 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. And it's almost like I set the same goal year after year after year, and I kept on missing it. And I realized the reason for that was because I didn't give a shit about the goal. I didn't care about it. If you don't care about your dreams, if you don't care about your goals, then what ends up happening is you have no energy to create something bigger. Does that make sense? You need to set a dream that causes you to want to drive across the country. Because what most people do is they set their goals based on the current amount of gas they have in their tank. Now, what's that a metaphor for? If I'm going down in my car and I want to see success as a metaphor for, let's say, Google Maps, the first thing I do is I type in a destination, right? And when I type in that destination, if that destination is based on the amount of miles I have left in my gas tank, then my GPS pin goes to a cornfield in the middle of Iowa. I live in Chicago. It goes to a cornfield in the middle of Iowa. Now, no offense to Iowa or corn. But the point is, if I like waterfalls and Yosemite and national parks and hiking and all this beautiful stuff, and I set my GPS pin to a place that I don't really want to go, what happens when I start driving? I'm going to want to turn around and go home. I'm not going to have any interest in continuing. I'll drive around aimlessly. I won't really care where I'm going, and I'll end up going back to everything I've ever known. But if I set that GPS pin, that destination, to something that really excites me, that will take some time to get to, that's going to take going through the mountains, climbing up, going down, going through all the different whirlwinds of life, having to stop multiple times, all of this stuff, being confused, being lost sometimes, to end up getting there, then I'll actually be excited if my destination is exciting. And think about what that does to you energetically. If I love hiking, but I set a dream to go to cornfields, there's no hiking. But if I love hiking and I set a dream to go hiking and see all these waterfalls and these national parks and all this stuff, think about what happens to my energy even before I leave on that trip. I'm thinking and picturing the waterfalls, the granite domes, climbing Half Dome, all of these incredible things. I'm seeing it before it ever happens. Notice I said seeing it before it ever happens. It's a massive skill for success. And if you see it before it happens, think about what that does to your energy. Your energy goes up. When your energy goes up, what happens to your creativity? Your vibrancy, it goes up, which means you try new things. When your energy is higher and your emotions are higher because you're excited about something, what happens to your ability to handle failure and mistakes? It goes up. What happens to your ability to take risks and try something new? It goes up. Think about little kids. Why is it that little kids are the greatest example of success, right? They want to be Spider-Man and Superman and the president all at the same time. And so they come in the living room dressed in their Spider-Man underwear with the suit and tie on, giving their presidential address, right? Because they're picturing it before it happens. And so my point with this is that everything is energy. Everything is energy. And if you set small goals, you have small energy. If you have small energy, then what happens is you never create any goals. So if you have, what most people say to me is, but I haven't hit the small goal, why go after the big goal? Listen to me now. The reason you haven't hit the small goal is because you don't give a shit about it. You don't care. If you don't care about the goal, why would you go after it? You're going to turn around and go home. You're going to get distracted. Something else is going to have your attention more. But when that goal becomes so exciting, you laser in and you focus on it. There's a piece of your brain actually called the reticular activating system, and its job is to fizzle out all the stuff you're not looking for. And so if you have a goal that's exciting, it keeps your energy and attention on that goal. If your goal is not exciting, then you get distracted by social media. You get distracted by what's going on in the news. You get distracted by all of the stuff that has been going on for years. Listen, right now, and I have news for you, and you're not going to like what I'm about to say. Right now is the single greatest time in human history. It is the greatest time of the most ease for any person on earth. It is the single greatest time of opportunity and wealth. It is hands down the safest time, statistically, that has ever existed in the history of the world, with the most technological advancements, with the most opportunity out there for literally everyone and their dog to be successful. But here's the thing. What you have now is you have access to more problems. Think about what's in your pocket. Social media, which is literally just a comparison trap. News media, which by the way, news media doesn't actually get you excited about anything. News media does not inform you. Sure, there are some amazing journalists who do an amazing job trying to inform, but news media does not have your best interest in mind. Its primary job is for shareholders. That's its responsibility, to increase profits. And what sells? Fear. And so headlines are meant to get clicks. What gets clicks? Fearful things. If you had a headline of 3 puppies were saved yesterday versus 3 puppies slaughtered, what do your eyeballs go to? Now, I'm not saying kill puppies, but what do your eyeballs go to? They go to the puppies that were killed, right? Because that's what sells. It's programmed in our subconscious mind unless we rewire it. And so the point of bringing this up is that you have access to negativity on deck. Like, it's all day long. That's why I don't watch the news. It's all day long. But it is if you take a look at the grand scheme of things and scope out a little bit, and you didn't have access to those things, realize something. Things like what's going on in the world have always happened. They've always happened. But if you are consuming it every single day, it brings down your energy. And it makes you play small and think less than. So my reason for bringing that up is that right now is the greatest time you have ever lived. It is the greatest time of opportunity. And here's one thing that I want to share with you because it's so important. Most people will tell you that this way of thinking is bananas. Most people will tell you that I am cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs if you go and repeat that, right? Go and repeat it. Please be a visionary in your own life, right? But here's the thing. I guarantee you that the people that are saying those things are people that have not mastered their emotions. There are people that are not where they want to be financially. There are people that do not see opportunities and possibilities. They do not live in vision. That is the consequence of paying attention to what society says. I have had something that has always told me, there's been this voice on the inside that says, look at what most people are doing and sprint the other way. And so most people are saying that the world is falling apart. I'm thinking right now this is the greatest opportunity that I've ever had. The greatest opportunity to double down. See, I think it was John Templeton that said, when there's blood in the streets, that is the greatest time of opportunity, or something like that. I don't know the exact quote, I have to look it up. But the whole point is that the greatest opportunities in life are at the times of maximum pessimism as a society. It's the greatest time of invention. It's the greatest time of opportunity. It's the greatest time of dreams. It's the greatest time of wealth. It's when you do the one thing that is different from everyone else and you set yourself apart from everyone else. Most people right now are going to slow down. My calling to you is to speed up, to be the exception. If you see a hill coming and you're riding a bike, which is what's coming, winter is here. It's here. You've always heard winter is coming, right? No, it's here. There is negativity everywhere, right? More negativity than has been broadcasted in a long time. Winter is here. And so let's say you see that hill and you're at the bottom of the hill, and this big hill that you have to overcome, and you're on a bike. What most people do is they see that and they slow down because they're afraid of that hill. They're fearful, they doubt, they don't know if they can get through it. They slow down. Very few people see that and are like, okay, now is when I speed up. Now is when I double down on how much value I add to the world. Now is when I serve above and beyond. If anyone tells you right now that it's worse than it's ever been, they're lying. They're not looking at history. My challenge to you is look at history instead of headlines. Look at history instead of headlines. And I promise you that you will be wowed by what happened before. It's happened time and time and time again. And if you're that person that speeds up right now when everyone else is slowing down, then all of a sudden you create momentum going over that hill, and everyone else is walking their bike up the hill. You gain momentum going over it and you speed down the other side. So when the world resets, which it always does because this is cyclical, it always happens, then what happens is you are so much further ahead than everyone else, and you stand out as the authority, the go-to expert, the person that can serve at the highest level. But that only happens when you see every time as a time of opportunity, when you dream bigger than you've ever dreamed, when you look at what society is doing and you sprint the other way. Most of society sets small, realistic goals, and that's what you've been conditioned to do. Most of society sits down, shuts up, listens to directions, right? Most of society says, no, that's not possible. Look at society, who is living in fear, go the other way. Now, this isn't me saying that you won't experience pain in your life. You're going to experience pain in your life. I'm saying that right now is the greatest opportunity you've ever had. It's the hands down, the greatest opportunity you've ever had to serve and double down on your efforts. And if you double down and create a huge dream right now, when everyone tells you it's impossible, I promise you, you will be one of the few that is rewarded. You will be. You will thrive when everyone else is struggling. But it starts with you going above and beyond right now when no one else is. And that starts with you creating a dream bigger than you've ever had. Setting a goal based on where you want to go instead of where you currently are. If you set a goal based on where you truly want to go, then all of a sudden life gets very, very different very, very quickly. You create wealth, you create impact, you become the expert, you serve above and beyond than you've ever served before. But in order to do that, you have to rewire your mind. You have to start thinking differently. So if you want to speed up success, part one is you need to start setting dreams based on what you truly want instead of what you currently think you're capable of. And if you have a hard time with that, take our What's Your Unique Success Archetype quiz. It's a quiz that helps you see how you've been operating up until now. If you've been living in scarcity, living in fear, following what the world is telling you, I'm not saying there aren't some tough things going on. That is not what I'm saying. I'm simply saying elevate above that and realize there have always been tough things. And I'm not saying those tough things don't impact you. They do. But I'm saying is you get to be the one that stands out. You get to be the one that says, that's a situation that is challenging. I'm going to be the voice. I'm going to be the person that steps up right now. I'm going to show the world that they can change their life. And I promise you, you'll be one of the few that's rewarded. So if you are challenged with that, if you keep on going back to the negativity, going back to the scarcity, going back to what you currently think you're capable of, setting goals based on what you currently have in the tank, take the quiz. Take the quiz. It's free. It takes 60 seconds. It will give you your baseline, your starting point, and it will point out the mistakes that you're making that's slowing down your success. It's totally free. It's called What's Your Unique Success Archetype. We've linked it up below this. Either way, I hope you found tremendous value from this. Make sure you screenshot it, share it in your stories so other people hear this today. The world needs this right now, and I get and completely understand that most people will think this is crazy. But you are not most people. I'm not most people. I don't want to be most people. I don't want to be average. I don't want to be mediocre. I don't want to be status quo, and neither do you. So leave us a rating and review on this episode, if you will. Please screenshot and share it in your stories. Take the quiz below this so that you can find out what your unique success archetype is. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Path to Mindset Mastery podcast today. My name is Brad Bizjack. Go out there today and every day and live your life with a genuine smile on your face. I'll see you for session 2 of Speeding Up Success next week.